Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. Me and John are going to have a chat about what is going on at Everton. The never seems to be a dull day.
It's great. It's
Everton
yeah,
concerned.
it's a journalist-rich environment, isn't it?
Something like that, John.
Except,
Something like
unfortunately, most of it's bad stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a bit wearing.
The MSP stuff we're going to have a chat about,
Yeah.
obviously.
Okay.
That's broken
Last night. Yesterday evening. Yeah.
Time of
Good
recording.
article by Matt, wasn't it?
They're out. Well, listen, a lot of people have been concerned, I think, for a while that it was very quiet. And you're hoping that that's just because the deal's moving. We saw stuff, put through official documents that it was all going through.
Oh well, them getting the money. Yeah.
The money there.
Yeah.
Everything
So
else.
we knew they had the cash. So that
was a good start.
Yeah.
And we were told towards the end of August it'd be completed. Something come up the other week, said within a fortnight it'll all be signed off. Fortnight never came. And we've got to where we were yesterday, which is basically the original details of the deal are not what is actually happening. So it was first reported as catastrophe, it's collapsed, it's fell through, Everton faced financial peril. And when the dust settled and you moved some of the bricks out the way, it actually said MSP aren't now going to be coming on board, but they're still lending the money to Farhad Moshiri and Everton Football Club, so that'll go on the stadium as it was originally. Realistically, when you do all that clearing, nothing has really changed in terms of Everton getting the money and doing what they were doing. The part of the deal that has changed is that a lot of people were hoping and thinking MSP were going to be on the board, 2 board members, and there've been some suggestions, whether they were fanciful or not, that this would eventually lead to them taking over from Moshiri, whatever. So, I mean, what are your initial feelings on what's gone on, and how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, that was a fair length of time, wasn't it? That this thing's been cracking along. You know, the board might not have been there, but they were there against Southampton. So that's 8 months straight away.
Straight off,
right?
Yeah.
So it's been going quite a long time. But however many times between then and now, you and I have sat on this sofa and ended up with me or us doing a time kills deals, right? And so it's not a huge surprise, I don't think, to anybody. And actually, I perhaps shouldn't say that because perhaps it was.
I think it is to a lot of people. Maybe not you.
Yeah, but because it's one of the potential outcomes with any deal, isn't it? That it just doesn't happen. Okay, and of course, like many of these things, particularly if it appears in a reputable newspaper, we'll call it, like the Athletic, people subscribe, they start contacting you, so you start getting people coming to you before you've even read what the article says. And I guess that's what you're talking about when you say about it's Armageddon, and then when you go and read the article and it's actually not so. And one of the things we talked about on here for quite often, perhaps with me being party pooper, is it's a loan. Okay, it's convertible into equity, but it's a loan. Yeah. And then people put a lot of hope on, let's be blunt, they'll come on the board. The people who are on the board who shouldn't be there will go away. Bill being the most obvious example, right? And becomes the last of the 4 who should have gone when they went to go, right? And therefore people are joining these things together. And that's about perception, isn't it? And we've said that perception's the quickest thing to change. Reality is much more difficult. So overnight, perception changed.
Yeah.
Bang. The wrong way, I mean, it'd be great for our football club if we ever got a perception change that overnight went up, which would be fabulous. And that's not necessarily totally unlikely either, is it? Right? If you listen to people like Matt Slater, who's the guy who wrote the original article, obviously got some decent contacts. I've spoken to him myself in the past, and he validates stuff and what have you. So it's not untrue, but he's done the yards and he's getting it right. But even he will say, Premier League football clubs are still in demand. Moshiri is still here, whether you want him to be or not. He's still got a few bob, and there'll still be people out there interested in buying a Premier League football club, particularly one so badly run as us, which is exactly where MSP were coming from, which is it's not well run. We come along, we get a certain amount of equity for a certain amount of money, and we make that equity much more valuable by just running it properly and making it be run properly. But the other thing you and I have talked about on countless occasions, I've probably lost track of how many times, was that Farhad Moshiri is a difficult man to negotiate with. He can be a bit three sheets in the wind, and people sometimes, because of some of the really daft things he does, forget that you don't get to become a billionaire by accident. Even if people say, yeah, well, it was just gifted shares in USM which turns you into a billionaire. Well, no one's gifted me stuff to make me a billionaire, you know what I mean? So, and it's hard to tell whether he plays to a stereotype of, you know, I'm a bit vague and stuff like that, and whether that's a negotiating tactic.
Maybe.
But it seems to me clear he's got a better deal somewhere. Right? He's got a better deal somewhere. Now, whether better's better for the club or better for him, I rather hope it's minimally both, but certainly a focus for us. And there is some time to get such deals done. I think the hardest part is that air getting sucked out the room yesterday.
I think
where everyone thought we're about to do something which is going to be quite popular, and then it stopped, or apparently stopped in its tracks. You know,
you have said a few times that maybe he was looking for a better deal somewhere, and that's why maybe
he was really squeezing MSP quite hard.
There was stuff going on where it would change, and it was more likely to be coming from. We were the more likely party to be slowing it down than they were, because he was negotiating, trying to get a best deal for both, maybe. And obviously, when you're slowing something down, they sign the exclusivity period and all that. And if you're the person who signed the deal with someone who's selling, and they then start to slow things down, you then probably start to think, who else are they talking to? Have you got, and you did say that, we might have people who have gone, oh, so you've signed that, right, okay then, we'll do this deal with you then, and this is actually better. Almost like a market, isn't it? You've agreed something. You see it sometimes with clubs, with players, don't you? Someone agrees that, you wait for one to agree the deal, and then someone over here goes, well, I'll tell you what, we'll give you another few million.
I mean, the comparison, deals are deals at the end of the day, you know, and they need to be shaped. And we've spent some time when we've been on the desk over there talking about closing deals is the hardest part, right? And if you look at the life cycle, particularly when you've got a heads of terms in place, because I think they had one of those in, which is where the exclusivity stuff would have been documented, then you think, well, we've got the basis of the deal. We almost just need to write the legal stuff that makes that happen.
Yeah.
You know, and the breakdown of this, which Matt talks about, it's about, you know, the fundamentally rights and media doing what they have their right to do, is to protect themselves from increased risk, and where they almost have a black ball opportunity and say, no, we don't want that to happen, because it wouldn't be good for us. Uncertainty, are we going to still be in this league? They're into us for, you know, a few $100 million or something like that, right? So, but they're things that should be known on day one. So clearly both parties thought they could work a way around that, and the current reason given for why it hasn't happened is that. And you're grinning because you've sat on the sofa, and we've sat on the sofa and talked about, you know, the Everton guy, we'll call him that, the Everton side is trying to squeeze a better deal out of MSP. MSP publicly say, we're still interested, you know, everything's, you know, last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's quite typical of timelines where whichever side you think's the seller and whichever side you think's the buyer, the side who wants it more suddenly realise radio silence, Everton are good at that, radio silence is occurring, and the natural assumption is they're talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Or they've told someone else. In my case, when I used to do it for a living, they've told bloody Baz's company he's won, and they always tell the losers last, you know, sort of thing. So I think we may find over the coming hours and days and stuff like that. Now, because all this stuff leaks like crazy, because a bit like the football analogy would be, agents can't keep the powder dry.
Yeah.
If you're the loser, you want your story out first. So you might claim, or use the words that MSP are the loser, therefore their story's out first. But we remain to be seen what the other stuff is. But clearly, people like 777 and the like, they've been hovering, waiting, and so on. And if the negotiator for Everton trying to squeeze a better deal out of MSP had any doubt that he's asking too much, just needs to validate it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? So the half-full version of this conversation, and we can go into depth another time, I suppose, but the half-full version would be Well, let's do the half-empty one first. The half-empty one is we're buggered. We didn't get the deal.
Yeah.
The world's ended.
Yeah.
The half-full version is the deal that we do instead of this one will be better than this one. And then we ourselves, perhaps we should discuss it on a BWB or something about what does better mean.
Yeah.
But I can anticipate, I think, somebody, if it is 7-7 or somebody else, ending up with a bigger percentage, but for a lot more money as well. And cash flow and working capital and stuff like that are what we need. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is very early into this, and we've had news today that there is a American.
Yeah, Alan said, an American, let's call that 777, and then Asian, Chinese, and
So it's
and stalking horses and two together competition. It all sounds.
Well, I think we'd say it would be likely that 777 are the favourites right now without having any other.
Yeah, well, they outbid MSP logically,
and they've been around for a while. So let's
know.
just say they're in the driving seat. But we'll wait and see, and hopefully we'll get more information on this. But yeah, if we're doing the glass half full, let's say Everton have changed the goalposts to suit themselves, and MSP have come off.
Yeah, I mean,
just very quickly.
He got it a bit further, didn't he? Because he squeezed a bit more money, which would have been. So he got the stadium bit, and then he squeezed a bit more money out of them to do other things, cash flow, and perhaps a bit of transfery, upfronty type stuff. And of course, what's left now is the round 100 million bit for the stadium, but he still needs then to pull through the, if you like, the other, perhaps use the phrase, a bit more traditional lenders who now see, because they're not first, they're happy to fill in the gap with the other quarter of a billion or whatever it is that's needed.
To finish, the rights and media stuff, which people might be concerned about, should we be concerned about that? And basically, what is it? Well, I guess if people are looking and going, well, we thought we had a deal, and hang on, this other company have just turned around and gone, no, that isn't happening. Now, that has probably been spun to suit a narrative, by the way.
Maybe. They as an organisation have in different names as well, over the years, have lent Everton money, which we'd call the payday loan type money. And of course, Farhad cleared all that away in the early years. So much, if not all, of the real debt, in quotes, was with him rather than, And then if we did want to feel concerned, it was, when was it first he did? 2020, maybe 21,
COVID,
whenever.
Wasn't it? Once COVID,
yeah. They went back to the same sort of entity, but on a grander scale, and all that's guaranteed with property and stuff like that. So that's there, but clearly that was a seller's market at the time, and they got some protections in the agreement which allows them to stop Everton extending debt and stuff. Yeah, so they've looked after number one, which is fair and dandy. So I don't think we should be concerned about that per se, because if we weren't concerned about it 2 days ago, why would we be concerned about it now?
I just mean because it's come to the front.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think in that sense, I mean, you can have questions about, you don't know where the money's coming on, all those sorts of things, which we've had many times with the offshore stuff. I think the only concern would be, and maybe this is what will play out, is if the real reason why the MSP thing fell apart, is because of that, then we won't do a deal with anyone else, will we? If we do a deal with somebody else, maybe it was a contributing reason, maybe, but not the only one, or the one that finally killed it. I suspect the real reason it hasn't happened is because Mashiri's found himself a better deal somewhere else.
Good place to leave it. We will do more on this, on the old BWB, but for now we're just reacting to that, and obviously it's an ongoing story, so we'll see where we go from there. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Big thanks to John. See you later.